Hello, and thank you for joining us today. This is Rene Ruiz. I'm with Nationwide Purchase Loans, and today I'm going to revisit the California Dream for All program. Now, this program made some very huge waves last year, and it really did make a huge difference in some people's lives, the lucky families that actually got to take advantage of it. This year, however, Cal HFA knows, based on past experience, that there's a lot of interest, and so they have added additional requirements so that, more than likely, so that they don't have to deal with as many applications. But before I get into the requirements, I want to just remind you what the program is about. This is a shared appreciation program. That means that Cal HFA is going to expect a piece of the appreciation when you go to pay them back. And there's several triggers that will force you to go ahead and pay them back. They are maturity, which is 30 years, transfer of title, selling, paying off the first mortgage, or paying off the grant in full. If you pay a portion of the grant off, it doesn't really do you much benefit. Again, you're not paying interest, you're not making monthly payments, and unless you pay it off in full, Cal HFA is still gonna get whatever contractual percentage they started at. Example, let's say they gave you 20% down and you took all of it, and then later you got an inheritance and paid 10% of it off. Do you think Cal HFA is only gonna want 10% of the appreciation when you go pay off the rest of it? No, you're on the hook for 20%. So don't pay off a portion of it, pay it off in full when you're ready. That is, of course, going to be one of the triggers for you to have to terminate the contract. And as a reminder, AMI below 80% means that you have a different appreciation ratio. You only pay 0.75 to 1 ratio instead of a 1-to-1 ratio for those that don't meet that income limit. So here's a couple of the pros, and then I'll share a couple of the cons, and then I will go into the actual requirements and restrictions. So as far as the shared appreciation program goes, or any shared appreciation programs go, they could be the difference between being able to buy a home or not. That, of course, is the main pro. Affordability is huge. The qualification improves when you get this grant because there's no monthly payment, but it also lowers your monthly payment. So some people could use it to afford more house and open up possibilities. Some people can actually just make the houses that they were already looking at more affordable. There's no monthly payments. That's why I picked this graphic, the free money coming down from the sky. There's no monthly payments and there's no interest. In fact, you could basically not have to pay anything. If you end up selling your home for less than what you purchased it for, or it just didn't go up in value, you just give Cal HFA their money back. There's no charges or interest or anything, dude. And you get to retain control of the property, of the asset. Here's the cons. Well, you have to share your appreciation. That's the big one. And the lien limits your ability to refinance. More fees will show up on your closing statement when you do go sell the property or refinance. And if values drop, you won't be able to sell without coming out of pocket. Meaning, if the property values go down instead of up, well, Cal HFA is not going to give you a discount. They're going to want all of their money back. And if you have to sell the house for less, you're going to have to come out of pocket to cover the difference. All right, here we go. The requirements. Let's start with being a first-time home buyer. That's still going to be necessary, but they changed the definition a little bit. I'm familiar with the definition that simply states that if you haven't owned a home in the last 3 years, you're a first-time home buyer. But they've expanded it. Now, if you've lived in a home owned by your spouse in the last 3 years, that disqualifies you too. Let's keep going. Here's a couple sample income limits. Those are going to continue applying, and they are per county. Here's the ones I want to share with you. $202,000 in Orange County, $149,000 in Riverside, $185,000 in San Diego, and $155,000 in Los Angeles. The limit for the grant is now $150,000 or 20% of the sales price, whichever ends up hitting the cap. Homebuyer education requirements will still apply, and there's a minimum CLTV. If you want to put your own money in, meaning if you're going to take the money from Cal HFA, but then you have your own down payment too, they don't want you to bring in more than 5% down. And I think the idea is if you have more than 5% down to put down, then you probably don't necessarily need the help. All right, let's talk about the second set of requirements, and these are going to be a little bit tougher to get through. At least one applicant must be a California resident and be either a U.S. citizen or a qualified alien, which just means you have to be here legally. But now, also a first-generation homebuyer. Here's additional information. Anyone not having owned a home in the U.S. in the last 7 years falls under this definition of first-generation homebuyer. Also, anyone whose parents do not presently own a home in the U.S. or have owned a home at the time of their death. And then finally, anyone who has ever been placed in institutional or foster care. This last requirement is probably going to ruffle a lot of feathers. I'll be honest, when I saw it, I said, what? That's kind of interesting. That would actually mean that I would be precluded. I wouldn't be able to take advantage of it. Kind of bugged me a little bit. But then I took a step back and I said, I already have a house, so why do I care? And you know what? When I bought my first house, my mom helped me. She gave me a part of the down payment. So you know what? I'm just going to be grateful that I actually had someone to back me. And I'm going to be happy for the people that may actually be able to take advantage of this program, because I can think of at least a few people that I know who don't have parents that are going to be able to help them buy a house. Additional and relevant facts: only $220 million has been allocated for this round. Last year we had $300 million, and that was gone in 11 days. You must get pre-approved and then apply for the random lottery, which means you literally are going to have to get lucky to be able to borrow or invest with CalHFA. Sellers and realtor partners, please pay close attention. There is a template from CalHFA that is a pre-approval letter, and it is available to anyone. You can go download it yourselves, and the part that bothers me is that anyone can basically fill it out and say this other person is qualified for this program. And it's a little too easy. If you are a seller, if you are an agent and you're reviewing offers and people are bringing you that approval letter, you might want to pick up the phone and make sure it's real. We already offer fully underwritten approvals, and we will be offering fully underwritten approvals for this product. So please reach out to us. We'll show you how to get started. And there's more information coming this spring. Word on the street is you can basically get your pre-approval done and get in line for the lottery sometime in March. A few things to remember: you can stack affordability strategies, including other grants. You can still request and use seller credits, and this year they're allowing temporary buydowns, which is kind of really exciting. All right, everyone, thank you for watching. I appreciate your sponsorship and your time. If you can think of any other topics that you'd like us to cover, please let us know. We'll make the time. Thank you for watching, and make it a great day.